They say that art refines the soul, that music brings grace where temper cannot. But for me, the music room became not a place of beauty, but of reckoning. My name is Clara Whitmore, and I was 18 when my father taught me that lesson. Our home, Whitmore Manor, was a world of order. My father, Lord Edward Whitmore, believed a daughter of noble birth must embody restraint, grace, and silence. Each morning I was to practice the piano, each evening, to read aloud from the poets, and always, to move and speak as a lady should. But I was not made for stillness. I loved to ride through the fields, to laugh too loudly, to play music not as written, but as I felt it. My governess called me spirited. My father called me defiant. It began one afternoon when I was to rehearse for a recital before the magistrate and his wife. The household gathered in the music room, sunlight streaming through the tall windows, dust motes drifting through the air like gold. The grand piano gleamed black and perfect. Father sat rigid in his high-backed chair. Mother stood near the fireplace, her face soft, anxious. I began to play. At first, I followed the notes, measured, obedient. But as the melody swelled, so did my heart. I let it wander, turning a solemn sonata into a playful waltz. My fingers danced, my laughter slipped free. Clara, my governess gasped. Father's voice cut through the room, sharp and final. Enough. The echo of that word stilled the air. I froze. The last note hung, trembling, then died. You think music is a game, he said, standing. His voice was calm, but there was thunder beneath it. You disgrace your tutors. You disgrace me. I only wished to make it mine, I whispered. His gaze hardened. You have no mine, child. You have duty. And you will learn it. He turned to the footman. Bring the cane. The room seemed to contract around me. I felt Mother step forward. Edward, she's 18, he silenced her with a look. Then she is old enough to bear the weight of her choices. The cane, a polished rattan rod, was placed into his hand. It gleamed in the light. He nodded toward the piano stool. Over it. My feet carried me forward before my mind caught up. The maroon folds of my gown brushed the polished floor. I laid my palms upon the piano stool and bent, my back straight, my heart hammering. My gown lifted up. The air in the music room seemed colder now. You will receive 15 strokes, Father said. You will count them aloud. The words settled heavy as iron. I closed my eyes. The first stroke fell with a sharp crack, biting through thin fabric and pride alike. The sound echoed against the piano lid. 1, my voice shook. The second followed swiftly, lower, sharper. I gasped, the sting blooming like fire across my skin. 2. By the third, my hands gripped the stool so tightly my knuckles whitened. The rhythm of the cane became the rhythm of my breath, fast, shallow, trembling. 3. The fourth stroke landed higher, a warning not just of pain, but of control lost. My head bowed. 4. The fifth stroke drew a choked sound from my throat. My father's tone did not change, it remained calm, deliberate. Discipline, he said quietly, is love without indulgence. 5. The sixth stroke cracked through the air, cruel in its precision. The thin fabric on my body did little to soften the sting. 6. The seventh found the same place as the first, doubling the burn. Tears stung my eyes. I blinked them away, unwilling to weep before him. 7. The eighth stroke struck deep into the silence, swift, exact. My breath hitched. 8. By the ninth, I was trembling. My voice broke mid-count, the word barely escaping my lips. 9. The 10th fell with a whistling sound that made Mother flinch by the fire. The pain no longer came in bursts, it lived, spreading, pulsing. 10. The 11th was slower, drawn out, deliberate. He was teaching me patience now, not pain. 11. The 12th made me cry out despite myself, a sound quickly stifled. I tasted salt on my lips. 12. The 13th came softer but no less deep, the sting merging with the echo of the last. 13. The 14th landed just above the others, and my body tensed, breath shuddering. 14. He paused before the final stroke. The room was utterly still, the fire, the light, the faint hum of the strings in the piano. This, he said, is for respect. The 15th stroke fell like judgment itself, clean, final, resonant. 15. The cane lowered. I stayed bent for a long moment, my breath shallow, my heart raw. When at last I straightened, Father turned away without a word. Mother was there immediately. She placed a trembling hand upon my shoulder. "It is over, Clara," she whispered. But it was not over. Not truly. That night, as I sat again before the piano, fingers hovering over the keys, the memory of each stroke returned not as pain, but as rhythm. And when I played, the melody was not defiant anymore, but solemn, deliberate, and full of something deeper than obedience. It was the sound of understanding.